and a glass of wine. This is so important because it like erases all your inhibitions and makes you not afraid to draw. So if you're over 21. Today we're going to draw a picture of my daughter walking out to the end of a dock over Kettle Creek in Brick, New Jersey. And I think this is a great one to start out with because there's no waves in it. There is water, but there's no waves. It's a simple dock, flat skyline, and the back of my daughter's head, so you don't have the facial features to deal with. And because a lot of you, I'm assuming you're new to drawing, so you probably haven't taken a figure drawing course, I'm going to have the picture in a link below that you can go to and view online. So you have the full screen of this picture, so we're drawing from the same picture, and you can also lay your paper over your monitor and just trace out the basics, the outline of the dock, the size of my daughter, where your horizon line is, and you could trace as detailed as you want. You could trace the little polka dots on her bathing suit so you have them correct if you'd like to, because a lot of making this look real is going to be in rendering the light and shadow and textures that are there, and that's all drawing. So you're still doing so much work to make this. Don't feel like because you're tracing the basic outline of the proportions of things and where they are that it's cheating somehow, because it's not. You need to have the proportions correct, or else no matter how good you do your shading and rendering, it's not going to look real if the proportions aren't right. So feel free to trace the outlines to get it in perspective. And I'm using, what am I using? B Paper Company Aqua B paper. It's 30% recycled. I like the texture of it. And so I just traced it out. So I'm starting with the same thing you are. And I have about that much traced out. I just traced, I did some lines on the dock because as it goes further back, they get closer together. And the horizon, there's a line of like beach grass and then the tree line. And I didn't trace any of the clouds. And I just marked where the creases on her knees are and her elbows, because if you have that wrong, you won't be able to draw it correctly. So that's where I am. So that's how much I traced on this. I usually don't trace it at all, but I want to start with the same thing you're starting with. So go ahead and trace this much, or feel free to draw it out if you want to try to draw it out looking at that picture. All right, so let's start. All right, so this is the drawing today, part 1 of this drawing. And the tools I used today are, I used B Paper Company Aqua B paper made in the USA. It says it's an extra heavyweight sketch paper for dry media. I like the texture of it, so you need paper. I used a kneaded eraser for the clouds, but if you only have a regular eraser, I'll show you how to do the clouds with a regular eraser. And a pencil sharpener, and if you only have a number 2 pencil, I'll be using a 2B to show you how you can use a number 2 pencil. You need a cotton ball. Some other drawing pencils I was using today are, I like the Staedtler pencils. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I love these pencils. And my range is from a 3H, in order, a 3H, H, HB, 2B, 4B, 7B. So the reason I have a 7B is you need a dark one to get these darks. The 3H I use to sketch it out for light, very light lines. It's a hard pencil. And then I just have some in between. The 4B alone will give you a good range of lights and darks. But I have used in this my 2B, not sure if I used the HB, but I go through it as I draw it. Oh, and a glass of wine. This is so important because it like erases all your inhibitions and makes you not afraid to draw. So if you're over 21, 2015 Pinot Noir by Staedtler. Okay, so this is the drawing we're going to start with today, and I will have it a link below so you can go to that page on my SmugMug website, and I'll see if I can have you download the image. If not, just open it up full screen on SmugMug and you'll be able to trace it. So I'm just putting the paper down, and I'm not going to trace all the clouds. I'm just going to trace her hair, because you're going to draw that in really good detail. I have to draw where her shoulders are. And I'm tracing it to show you how to do it this way because you might not have taken figure drawing before. And if you want to just look at the image on the screen and draw from it, you can. But by tracing it, I know that you will have like the proportions exactly right. And that's just half the battle. You still have to shade everything and give things texture. And this is just, I am only doing like the outline of the body to make sure I get it in the correct proportions. I have to flip my camera and focus it. Okay. I have the picture on my screen that I'm going to be drawing from. The first thing I have to do is get this in focus, so pardon me for a second. Okay, so I'm going to start with the sky. I like to work from the top down. That way my hand isn't rubbing on where I've worked and smudging all over. I'm going to turn the paper a little bit because this is a good drawing angle for me. It's similar to writing if you tilt your paper when you're writing. So when I do my speed drawing videos, I try to keep it, I tape it down so it's in the same spot. But that's not really how I draw. I turn the paper so because like this would be, putting your hand in a weird position is awkward, so I turn the drawing a lot when I really draw and I'm not doing a speed drawing. All right, so I'm going to start with the sky, and I'm going to look at the picture, the same picture you're looking at, and these are cumulus clouds. I'm not going to draw exactly those clouds. I have some practice paper I tore, and I'm going to use my softest pencil, which is a 8B. I shouldn't be doing this on that because I don't want to flatten the tooth of my paper. So I'm just making some dark so I can dip my cotton ball into it and make the bottoms of some clouds. So I'm going off what I'm looking at, but it's not going to be identical to it. This is that big cloud that's on the top right. And there's some thinner clouds here. Or they look smaller. The reason they look smaller is because they're further in the distance. So you can't mess up clouds. They're all different. So I'm not shading a whole cloud. I'm just rubbing and marking where the bottom of the cloud is going to be. I'm making this one go off the page because it does go off the page in the picture. Do I need to turn my... I need to flip this. Hold on. There we go. So now it's the same as yours. Should be the same as yours. Okay. And I can always add more of this soft stuff later. Okay, so that's all I'm doing for now. And now I'm going to go in and use a pencil that's very hard. This is a 3H because I want these lines to be very light. Switching this out for this. This is what I'm going to rest my hand on. Some people use tracing paper for this part because you'll still be able to see through it as you're laying it down. So I really should pick up some tracing paper. That was a great idea I saw on someone else's page. I don't remember whose YouTube drawing page I saw that on. YouTube drawing channel. All right, so now I'm just going to draw some outlines of clouds. So looking at this one, it looks like it just kind of goes like this. And goes right off the page. Then this one, this little cloud is its own little cloud. And this one goes long. And a lot of these clouds are just going to be like overlapping. And just do a very irregular edge. It doesn't have to be exactly like the one in the photograph. And cumulus clouds are bigger in the middle and then they dwindle down. And they go, as they go further back in the horizon, they're moving toward this horizon line. And I want a few more here that I didn't do the cotton on these, so I'll have to go back in. And this one is pretty important because it goes right to her head. And comes out the other side. I think it's going to line up with these ones. And don't get too particular on these. I'm just drawing a straightish, bumpy bottom here. And I'll just do this. Okay, so my cloud goes up, 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 up. And I'm going to do some more grays down here. You can always go back in to do more grays. Okay, the reason this is going to be so important is because you have to make sure you do the same thing to the cloud here as you do here. And that's what's going to make this look continuous and make her head pop out towards us from the background. All right, so now I have my clouds drawn out. And so now I'm just going to draw the sky part. So the whitish part of the cloud where this edge is, I'm going to keep white. And I'm just going to use the 3H to color in the sky. And you want to draw with the side of the pencil, not the point of the pencil. And try to just shade it in as a continuous, a continuous blue sky. There's no lines in your sky. So you're not going to create lines here. You're just going to try to use the edge of your pencil, draw softly. So your sky is one continuous tone, and go into these cloud lines a little bit. Make it a little more irregular and make that line disappear that you outline the cloud in. So I'm just going to shade all the sky in and put it on fast speed so you can see it quickly. One more here. All right, so now that I did the whole sky in a dark color, I could see that I did it darker here, and really when you're looking at photographs of the sky's usually darker and gets lighter as it goes down. So now I'm just going to make the sky darker and gradually get lighter as it goes down. So I'll probably keep this how it is and just make this darker and gradually make it lighter. So you can use a softer pencil, or if you only have the one pencil, you could just do another layer and go like in a different direction. I'm not applying any more pressure. I'm just going in a different direction. And what that does is it goes into more of the divots in your paper. Each direction you go in is going to put more graphite down in those divots. And if you're just using just a number 2 pencil, that would be, I think that's equivalent to my 2B. So let me go into this with a 2B. Very light touch, and it really adds so much darkness. And I'm working in little circles, so it goes into those divots, and I don't have lines in my sky. I haven't blended anything with my finger. I won't. And I don't want you to, because that'll flatten your tooth of your paper. And if you need to learn about the tooth of the paper and how to use the pencils, go to my video grayscales, and you'll see what I'm talking about when I'm mentioning the tooth of the paper and layering instead of blending with a tool. Layering is your tool, I guess. You're using the pencil as its own tool. Sharpener close by. And I don't even wipe, because that's going to blend, so I just blow off my eraser things. I have a brush that sometimes I'll sweep them off with. So if I had sky over here, I'd be matching it to this, but I have all cloud there. I'm going to make that a little more irregular there. Oh, I have lines, see? So I'm just going to make it a little softer. I must have a little like lump on my pencil right there. All right, and I'm going to make this darkness go into here a little bit. And see, you don't want to see the outline of your cloud. The difference in the value of your sky versus leaving the paper white is what makes that edge. You don't want to see an outline, because when you look in the sky, the clouds are not outlined. You know what else is good? If you have a glass of wine while you're drawing, and I think this is why they do that at those paint nights, it relaxes you and your inhibitions are gone, so you'll go ahead and not be afraid to draw something on your paper. You're not afraid of ruining it. You kind of just trust what you're doing more with some wine. So I will be drinking wine while I draw this, and maybe you are too. I don't know, but it definitely helps. All right, so here I'm just gradually going lighter with it. I think that's about all I'm going to do with the sky. So now the clouds, where I shaded the clouds, I'm going to go back in and double that in darkness. And the reason I'm going to double the bottom of my clouds in darkness, I'm not doing this. You're just like dabbing it here and there. And we need the bottoms dark because that's what's dark on the real clouds. If you're looking at the picture that I'm referencing. I have some Mars Lumograph black pencils that are good for this too, but I'm going to keep just using this because that's what you're probably using, just a number 2 pencil. So I don't want to use my black pencils because it wouldn't be fair and it wouldn't be accurate to what you're doing. But you should definitely get like a dark 8B or 6B, 7B, something that's very soft. And I'll put a link below where I get mine, and I think you can just buy the individual pencils. So if you were just buying individual pencils, I would recommend like a 4H, an H, a B, and a 4B, and a 8B, or something close to those numbers. Okay, so I need more dark on this one. All right, so now the fun part. Now we're going to just do, I'm using a new cotton ball so I don't get too dark where I don't want it. And I'm just going to put some dotting darkness everywhere randomly. So now to get my white parts of my cloud back, now I'm going to use the kneaded eraser. And if you don't have a kneaded eraser, some other things that work, I have a video of making clouds. You can use a regular eraser and just like erase your ridge. Do you see the white? And then just try to blend it by going lighter and softer with it. So there's a white edge to that. But an easier thing to do is this kneaded eraser, and I didn't have kneaded erasers in my art classroom. So we actually used Model Magic for this, and it worked. You're pushing and lifting. You're not rubbing. And this, what this does is it just picks up the graphite from the paper. So I'm looking at where my cloud wants to be. It's light right there already, so I'm just going to go on that and accentuate it a bit. And maybe I'll go into this a little bit. And I'm just squishing it, making a random shape, and just going down. I see this, it's too much of a curve right there. Let me see if I can sharpen the focus. Okay, and all right. I'm going where, like, I already see that it's light right here. So I'm just lifting more of the graphite off to make that show up even more. All right, so now I got some nice soft clouds. And you want the edges of the clouds to not be harsh either. In this case, because, well, some of them are harsh, like the one above her head should be harsh. So right now I'm just rubbing the sky with the cotton ball and going upward with it. And then I'll go ahead and make it harsh. And I will use my corner of this eraser too. And it's not going to match the drawing exactly. And that's the good thing about clouds. Like, I feel like you can't mess them up. And I know you're saying, oh, I can mess them up. No, you really can't. Just stay random. Make sure you don't have harsh lines. So I think I'm about done. I think I'm done with my clouds. This is much softer on my drawing than it's showing up in pencil. If you want, you can lightly soften it with a cotton ball. Don't use your fingers because then you're putting oil on your paper. And the only thing I see, I feel like I blended this too much and I don't have any separation of sky to cloud now. So I'm just going to go back in and do some sky. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe this is a cloud that's further back than that cloud or shaded more for some reason. It's really, this camera is making it look so sharp. Like the pencil lines I'm seeing on my camera, I'm really not seeing on this real paper. And this is the 2B pencil I'm using right now. You have to make sure anything under you doesn't have even the smallest eraser thing, because that'll show through as this, as a spot, because I had a little bump under my paper. All right. I have some of my original pencil lines here that you probably can't even see, and I'm just going to shade them out, pencil in some sky over those. These ones I'm going to erase, so like, I don't know if you could see that. Let me see if I could zoom in on it. Okay. Okay, so you see this pencil line. So I'm going to get some more dark, go right where that pencil line is, and then it's hard to see now, but I'm going to do a harsh erasing where that pencil line was to make an edge of a cloud. Just dabbing and erasing. I can't have that line, so I'm just, that looks good to me. Now I got to get rid of this line. So when you look at my picture, I'm going to point with the pencil here. I have some very dark shadows. I have some lighter shadows, very light shadows. It's important that you have all this depth of white to a light gray to a darker gray, because that's what's going to make the depth in your clouds. Like, look at all this I got going on. That's pretty cool. This is awesome. Don't try to match my clouds. Just go with whatever you're doing. It does not need to look like mine, because all clouds are different. I'm just getting rid of some of these harsher edges that I have. And then I think I'm going to just leave my sky like that. I'm going to push down and pull up with a very little bit of that edge and that edge. All right, I'm done with my clouds. And when I say I'm done, I'm done. I'm not going to touch them anymore, because you don't want to overwork them. I do have a line here I didn't see that I should. What do I want to do? I'll just shade this in so it's a little darker cloud behind it, and I get rid of that line. See, I thought that was an eraser thing, but I think it's a dot from, oh, it's a shame. It's a dot from drawing. I either had a chunk on my pencil or whatever. I could make sky go over that if I wanted to get rid of it. I'm going to try to erase it, see if it'll erase. It did erase. Okay, so I'm just going to turn it into the edge of this. All right, and then I'll get my brush again. All right, that's it for the sky. I'm going to blend this a little with my brush. What this brush is doing is it's just blending it a little bit. I like to leave my marks, but this is just making it a little bit softer. Just working it. I cut a filbert brush is good for this, and I didn't have one, so I just cut a brush I had down. And you might not even be able to see a difference in the image, the video. All right,